Welcome to the workshop. Hi, today I'm going to show you how to use the drilling Doweling guide block with a side fence. A side fence can be made of metal or wood. This is a piece of plywood. It's just connected by, in this case, two 6mm bolts with nuts through two of the holes in the 6mm channels, and that allows the fence to be used with the 8mm holes. The fence also has two 8mm holes in it which line up with the holes in the 8mm side. So if we want to drill 6mm dowel holes, then we just attach the fence with some 8mm bolts and nuts. So let's show you how it works. So how do we use our block with its side fence? Well, the first option is if we're using a piece of stock which is roughly the same size as the Doweling block, we just have the fence attached and it gives a good reference of one face, and we can drill our holes like so. If we have a wider section and we want our holes towards the middle of that, obviously the fence is not doing that, but we can slacken off the bolts like so, move the block along a bit and insert shims between the fence and the block until we get to the position we want. Then we tighten up the nuts and we have a fence that will position our block on the same place every time. And using shims in different thicknesses, down to say paper shims, which are in the order of 3 to 4 thousandths of an inch, we can get very accurate positioning. If we want to centre our holes on something a little thinner, for example like this, you can see the fence on its own isn't going to do it. The holes are going to be too far over on this side. And so in that case we just put shims between the fence and the workpiece, like so. And again we can use shims of different thicknesses and add to them with paper shims to get exactly where we want. Now, as a demonstration, I'm going to attach this small block onto the end of this piece, and I've just marked a centre line on them so we can connect them like so. The first piece, the important piece here, is the thin width of this piece, and we want to have that roughly in the middle of our holes. So positioning it, you should be able to see that we need to put a shim between the fence and the work. We try this one here. This shim gives us about the right sort of packing so that our hole now appears roughly centered on our workpiece. Now we just align our workpiece, the center line, between two of the holes, clamp, and then we can drill these two dowel holes. Well, would you believe it, I just realised I don't have any 8mm dowels, so I've just swapped over to 8mm bolts now through the fence, and I'm going to use these 6mm dowel holes. I've centred with a fence with a shim in there, and I can clamp that now in the vise and drill my first set of holes. Now using the same shim and the fence lined up with the centre line of the other component, we can drill the opposing dowel holes. Insert some 6mm dowels and the joint goes together. Nicely aligned, flush on the back surface, nice and strong. So that's one way of using the doweling jig with a fence. And clearly we could join components on their edges, on their faces, faces to edges, ends to faces, ends to edges, all sorts of combinations using the fence as our reference, and spacers and shims to get the accuracy that we want. Now there are some other accessories that we can use with the doweling jig, and I'll include those on a future video. But for now, I hope you can see how useful this can be, and I hope you'll want to build one.